anyone know why we're here? That's a different question, isn't it? We're here to learn about a certain subject which affects all of us, and that is how to move things around without getting hurt. Okay? OSHA calls that manual materials handling. Previously at PID we called it lifting class. Okay? But it encompasses more than just lifting, so I've gone with what OSHA terms it as manual materials handling. Alright? With that, the bulk of the focus is going to be on how to lift properly. But I'm also going to show you some other things, how to move things around, how to do teamwork lifts, things like that, how to move awkward things, so that, or things that are in a bad position, so that you can try and do it without getting injured. Even outside of work, we always have opportunities to move things around. I mean, it's just part of it's part of life, right? And it doesn't matter how big or how small the thing is, if it needs to be moved and we're the only one there, then we're probably going to try and move it. Okay? Sometimes that's fine, sometimes that's a really bad thing. Your arms are going to get tired if you hold them out from your body like that for too long. Just saying. Okay. Just hold the camera like this. Okay.
Stretching my arms.
Okay.
Do you want to pause it?
All right. So we are going to talk a little bit about lifting, how to do it safely. It depends on what you're lifting. Is it possible to get injured lifting a water bottle from the floor?
Yes.
How about the pencil you slammed down on the table? Is that?
Yes.
It is.
Could have bounced up and poked you in the eye.
I know someone. I don't know someone. I read a report of someone, so I knew of someone that injured their back picking an ink pen up off the floor.
That wasn't in on.
This was when I worked at a pulp and paper mill 100 years ago. Okay, and what they did was they were sitting in a chair, and their pen fell on the floor, and so they reached over sideways to pick it up. Right? And when they reached over sideways, they pulled something, they tweaked something in their back, and they had to go to the chiropractor, and they had to go to physical therapy, and they were off work for like 6 weeks. So when we go to pick something up, let's say it's something that's like on the back of the van bed. All right? We don't have to squat down as far. These are kind of heavy, not super heavy, but enough that you could definitely get injured. If I'm going to pick this up and the van is this way, so the van is over here, right? And the flat part is here of the edge of the bed. And I reach over here like this, I'm doing the same thing that the person did that leaned down and picked up the pen. I'm picking something up when I'm not lined up on the load. So part of my load size up, when I'm sizing up the load and the lift, is I need to see what the angle is of whatever it is I'm picking up. And I need to square myself up to it, okay? So we just moved the van. Now it goes this way. So I don't have to turn my backside to you. All right, so what you want to do is you want to square your body up to the load, know where you're going to hang on to it, and then bend your knees to get down to where the load, you can just pull it into you as opposed to bending over to pick it up. Okay? And then just pull it up in, and by pulling it into your body, now you've joined with the load basically, so it's not going to be a lift and twist kind of a thing. Okay? If I have to go somewhere, it's lift and pivot. Okay? So I'm pivoting my feet before I walk off with the load. All right? All right. So going through the thing, if the load is too heavy or too awkward, then we would definitely want to do what? Get help.
Call someone
Okay?
else.
We want to get help. We want to ask for assistance. Okay? And if you're going to do an assisted lift, can you help me with this? Say this weighs about 60 pounds. Okay? I could probably get it. She could probably get it. But it'd be a lot easier with two people. So we're going to say, I'm going to call I'm gonna call the lift. All right. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, lift. All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3, lift. Okay. Now that was super easy.
I don't have to squat because I'm
And the same thing when you set it back down. Okay, it's recording.
All right. Squat.
Yeah. If it's like fairly light, I'm not going to say you have to squat. If it's right here and you can just curl it to pick it up, okay? If it looks like you might need to use your legs, or it's big and you have to grab onto it to pull it into you, then you want to squat to get down to where the load is. Anytime you can reduce the distance of the lift, or the distance that you're moving the object, you're reducing the risk involved. You're reducing the amount of work that's involved. Okay? All right. So the other thing is we want to make sure that we have a firm footing. Some of the time when we back the van up, there's like a little gap between the edge of the curb, or there might be a berm there that we have to step over the top of or onto and then use it as a step to get up. So all of those things become tripping hazards. All right? So when we're doing any job, any task, the number one thing we want to do is, everyone says pay attention, right? Or focus on the job. I'm going to say eyes on task and eyes on path. So when you're walking, you need to know where your feet are going to land. And you can only do that by keeping your eyes on the path. When you're picking something up, and if I have to climb something to get there, the only way I can safely do that is by keeping my eyes where they should be, which is where my feet need to go. And then keeping my eyes on the task. If I'm doing something like closing table legs, anybody ever been pinched in the fingers by closing those darn little table legs? Okay, several of us have. Okay? Not me though. But several of you, no, I'm kidding. Several employees have been injured doing that. I can almost guarantee you were not looking at your hands when you got them pinched. 99%, I can almost guarantee that didn't happen. Okay? You were distracted. You've closed those legs a gazillion times, so you don't need to look because you know where they are, you know how they work, right? That's what we think. Just like driving a car. I don't really need to pay as much attention because I've done this so many times. When you're first driving, you would never even think of texting and driving. When you first start getting you're doing your learner's permit, you would never think of doing something like that because there's so many things to watch. But then after you've done it for 10 years or 5 years or 20 years, driven a car, it's like second nature. After you've closed those table legs so many times, it becomes second nature. But it's still important to keep the eyes on the task. Within the last 3 or 4 months, we had 2 people get hurt doing that. Okay? One bled. The other one, I don't know if it bled or not. We also had someone get injured picking up a tricycle, and the handle swung back around and pinched their arm in between the seat and the tricycle handle. Okay? Little things like that, by not really watching what's going on or not thinking the job through ahead of time, are how, when we're manually moving materials, we get injured. Okay? All right. So the thing on the firm footing is, let's say the load is on the floor. Because a lot of times things that we pick up are on the floor. The way that they're teaching us to pick things up is to offset your feet a little bit so that one foot is on the side of the load, one foot's behind the load. And turn your feet out just a little tiny bit. Okay? So if you can see my feet, they're just kind of like this. Alright? As opposed to pigeon-toed or something else. Alright. The other thing you want to do is get in close to the load. Alright? I don't want to pick this box up out like this, because like I mentioned earlier, the longer, the further out from your body you extend something, the heavier it feels on your body. The weight of the thing doesn't change. Its mass is still the same, but because of leverage, now my back thinks that 10-pound weight is 100 pounds. It multiplies it times 10 if you extend it out at arm's length. So halfway would be half of that, right? Keep it in close to your body. And good job. Keep it in close to your body, and you only feel the weight of whatever it is, okay, on your spine, and that's what we're concerned with. All right. So the other thing you want to do is, before you squat, you want to look where you're going to hang on to it. You want to know about how much it weighs. You want to know the weight distribution. Is it real heavy on one side? You know, are they a bunch of wooden blocks and they're all slid over onto one side of the bin or something like that? Then that would make a difference, because you start to pick it up thinking it's even, and it's like, oh, it puts you off kilter a little bit. What else? I think we're about ready to go down. We have one more thing we have to do. Anybody know what that is?
Squat.
Before we squat.
Breathe. Suck it in. Take a deep breath. Keep
What
weight
what
under
else
your
would
core.
what else would we call? Okay,
Tighten your
what'd you
core.
say? That's right. Engage your core. Good job, Jackie.
Yes.
All right.
Tighten
So
your core.
when you engage your core, anybody know how to do that?
Jackie does.
What does it mean, engage your core?
Tighten your core.
Okay, so you're tightening your core. What's your
Inner
core?
muscles.
That's what's going to give support to your spine when you're picking something up and when you're carrying it. Because you can be injured after you do a safe lift, and now I pick up this water cooler that's full of water, and I have to walk 50 yards across the way with this cooler full of water over uneven ground, okay? Or I have to pull this cart over uneven ground and worry about things falling off of it at the same time, okay? So I'm catching something that's starting to fall, all right, which is a hazard in and of itself. So all these kind of dynamic movements can injure us. So those are, I know it's a lot to think about when you're just picking up a bin, you know, I'm just picking up a bin, my gosh. But to give your back that extra support, we engage our core. Can I have everybody stand up, please? Not that you're falling asleep, but this is a class activity. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to engage our core. Now, the best way that we engage our core to protect us from basically 3 injuries. Okay? Anybody know what those 3 injuries are? They all start with H. Anytime you pick and you strain, pick something up really hard. Hemorrhoids is one. Hernia. 2 types of hernia.
Oh, back.
Yes. Herniated disc. Herniated disc. Okay? And then an abdominal hernia. Okay? Where your intestines start to push out through the wall of your stomach, of your belly rather. Okay? All right, so that's why we engage our core. Now, what's the best way to do that? You can't just tighten up your stomach like you're doing a sit-up. That's not how you do it. What you do is 3 finger widths below your navel. I want everybody to find that. 3 finger widths below your navel. Okay, so find your belly button. Put your index finger in your belly button, and then go like this, and then right where your pinky finger is, that would be 3 finger widths below. In about 1.5 inches from that point is an area about the size of a golf ball that the Chinese refer to as Tan Dian. It's your center of gravity, the center of your chi, okay? And that's where we start with the engaging of the core. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that and we're going to pull it in and down, okay? So imagine or envision, think about that golf ball. You're pulling it in and down, okay? Now take the pelvic floor, and this is like the Valsalvis maneuver, Kegel exercises, stuff like that. Take the pelvic floor and pull up on it as if you were trying to join those two areas of your body. Okay? If you're like that, then your core is engaged. All right? Now, it's kind of funny because it's different, but what I want you to do is I want you to get a little bit of space because you're going to do a squat. Okay? If you have to if you don't have any room at all and you have to just squat down to sit on your chair, that's fine, okay? If that's all you have is just enough room to sit on your chair. So put your feet how they're supposed to be, a little bit offset and kind of out. Engage your core. Now I want you to transfer almost all of the weight in your feet to your heels. Don't have it on the balls of your feet. Don't have it on your toes. Have most of the weight in your heels. Okay? Alright. Now, with the core engaged, I want you to just keep your arms down to your sides. Keep your core engaged and focus on that because it's going to want to disengage as soon as you start going down. And go ahead and squat down. Keep your core engaged. Right. So your seat goes low, your back is straight, and you're looking straight ahead. Okay? Okay, now from this position, push your heels through the floor to come up. Push and come up. Okay, we're going to go down again. Engage the core. Down. And you said breathe earlier. You definitely want to not hold your breath. And you push your heels through the floor and back straight and up. Okay? Now, when you're down here, does your core want to disengage? Anybody notice that it's kind of hard to keep it? Your legs want to disengage? Okay. All right, that's how you engage your core when you're doing a lift. Okay? Have a seat. Thank you. Clean off the chair for her and it's yours. That was so nice of you.
I was like, is this my chair or your chair? So I just
Okay. A lot of times something's on the floor and we need to move it out of the way, off to the side a little bit. But we don't really want to do all this and move it. I can just slide it with my foot, right? Right or wrong?
Right.
Jackie? What was your answer from before? No. Before that one? Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Okay, good answer, Jackie. So, it's okay to move something with your foot, but you need to do it the right way. All right? Now, you guys know medial and lateral with respect to positions or directions on the body? Medial means toward the midline. Lateral means toward the outside of your body, okay? Toward the outside edge. So if you're going to move something laterally and you just want to push it this way, you're taking a little bit of chance of pulling some muscles in the side of your body because those aren't the strongest muscles in the legs, are they? Which ones are? The groin muscles?
No.
Your thighs, that's right. Your quadriceps, okay? Your quadriceps are the strongest muscles. What's the second strongest group? Hamstrings or bicep femoris, right? So if you're going to do a hook kick, boom, Brandy, show us a hook kick. Just show it. Just kidding. She's a martial arts person, so. Anyway, so yeah, that's your second strongest. You use your hamstrings a lot when you bend over and pick something up. If you do a straight leg deadlift, that's almost all hamstring, okay? It's actually a good exercise if you've got really light weights or no weights. Just go down part way, slowly, and then come up. Go down part way to where you feel them tighten, and then come back up, okay? And that's a hamstring exercise. You do 20 reps of those 3 times, the next day you'll probably be sore. But it's not how we want to pick up a box, is it? But I see people pick stuff up like that all the time. And usually it's lighter things, and usually it's when they think I'm not looking. But I'm almost always looking, because stuff like that just catches my eye. In here earlier, I saw someone drop their water bottle on the floor, and real quickly, because she's very athletic, she went boom, bent over with her legs almost perfectly straight and picked it right up. Okay? And didn't get injured. But she could have. And so it's dangerous to do that kind of stuff. So you always need to, even though it's light, just make sure that you support your weight, bend down and pick it up. All right? Okay, so here we are. We've got our core engaged and we've squatted down. Our weight is in our heels. Why do we have our weight in our heels as opposed to on the balls of our feet? Okay, it's stronger.
You know, base plan. If it's on the balls of your feet.
Just stop guessing.
Coordinate.
No, I'm kidding. I'm just playing.
Answers are always
Okay, when you're anybody in here work out and do lunges? Anybody ever do a lunge?
Yeah. I mean, every day.
Do you? Okay, well, if you do lunges, or if you've been trained to do lunges, you were taught not to have your knee go forward of your toes. There's a reason for that, and that's the same reason we don't pick something up like this. Okay? It puts an incredible amount of pressure and tension on the patellar ligament and the Achilles tendon when you've got a lot of load like this. Okay? So that's why we keep our weight in our heels. Okay? So we've got our weight down here, our seat low, we pick it up, and then we want to pull the load in close. If you have a belt buckle or something, you can just kind of hang it on your belt buckle. Or pull it in here and put it like right by your it's called your pubis symphysis, that bone that's right there. Okay? If you pull it in close to there, now you've transferred the weight from your shoulders to your hips. Anybody ever see a backpack with a waist strap? That's exactly what that is for. To transfer the load from here, which is on your shoulders and on your spine, to your hips. Takes the spine out of the equation. Okay? That's why I recommend that if you have to pick something up and carry it, you pull it in close to you for two reasons. It helps to make you one with the load, so that you're not going to be doing a twisting kind of a thing. And the other reason is it transfers the weight of the load to your hips. Okay? Your hips can take a lot more weight than your spine can. All right. So definitely don't bend at the waist. If it helps to think of, like Jackie said, lift your toes. You don't want your toes on the floor. Sorry to call you out, but I know your name better than everybody else in here. So, yeah. See ya. So, yeah. If it helps to lift the toes to keep the weight in the heels, that's what I was trying to say, then do that. You mentioned breathing. When you're lifting, when you're doing the exertion part of the lift, that's when you want to exhale. Okay? And when you exhale, make sure that you're still focusing on keeping that core engaged. Back is straight, eyes look straight ahead. You don't want to look down when you're picking something up. Okay? Then you've got the shoulders all humped, and that's not a strong lift. And you don't want to look up, because that hyperextends the neck, and that can cause injuries as well. All right, let's talk a little bit on the next sheet about what if we don't want to do the perfect lift. Oh, I didn't finish the moving the thing around with the foot part. Okay, so if it's a really light load, something like this, I could probably just push that sideways. It wouldn't matter any direction I pushed it. It would be fine. I'm probably not going to get injured with something super light like this, okay? The problem moving something laterally with the medial part of, with my groin, is because your groin muscles aren't very strong. People hear about in athletics all the time, you pull a groin muscle, okay, because you weren't warmed up enough, you moved too quickly, something. And none of us warm up our groin muscles before we go to work. I can almost guarantee it, unless you're doing yoga, okay? Okay, butterfly stretch. No, that just doesn't happen, right? That's the butterfly stretch. All right, we're not talking about anything else.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so
Your face, change it.
so what we were talking about before was that your hamstrings are the strongest muscle. So just turn and face the load and push it with your foot. If you need to move it across the floor and you don't want to just pick it up and set it down, okay? Like underneath of some place, and we have to pick that up. The best way to pick that up from there is what? Who said that? That's right. Slide it over to you. But when you're sliding it, know that anytime you're pulling something, you can get injured. Okay? So if I have to pull this because I can't get around behind it and push it, then I need to make sure that I'm properly supported, that I have really good body mechanics, and now I'm going to do like a rowing motion because I'm all supported here. I'm using the triangle. That's right, for support. We have an alumni of Rick Dyer's back lifting class. Okay, and I'm going to pull it over to me like that. Then I can kind of push it over, and then I can get down and pick it up. So a lot of times we have things that are in really awkward positions, and that's what I'm talking about. Now, these are only totes. Sometimes we lift up awkward stuff like this, or tricycles, or we're picking up fans, or we have easels. We might have to carry 2 or 3 easels, and we have the little library stand thing that's kind of like a really odd shape, you know, and it's kind of heavy. All kinds of weird stuff that we have to pick up, especially you guys in your preschool activities, right? So you just need to use basically the same kind of mechanics, the same body style, and pick it up. Sometimes, I'm going to reach over the table. Sometimes we'll want to reach over and pick something up that's like too far away from us. And now, if this is the back of the truck or the back of the van, and that's a box or that's even something light like a water bottle, I could and probably should, this is the ideal way, would be you use 3-point contact, climb up into the van, go over, squat down, pick it up. Nobody's going to do that. Okay? So I'm going to teach you, or refresh in your minds if you already know, using a tripod like that, same kind of thing, to pick something up that's too far away from you. Okay? If it's light like that, I can use my arm and I can reach out there and I can just probably just pick it up. But if I'm reaching too far, now I'm putting my back at risk just from the reach. I can overextend and, oh crap, right? Pull a muscle just from that without even lifting anything. So you have to be careful. The other thing is if I'm doing it on a table or something like that, the table could give way. And I'm 100% committed right here, right? So you need to be aware of what you're lifting on. Some people will lean over onto a tote like that and do that. And those lids can break. So basically you would do that. If I'm concerned about the weight of it, like if it were an ink pen or something, it probably wouldn't hurt me. But if it's got any mass, all right, using the same triangle, you can bend over and pick something up, like a backpack that's on the floor. All right. Oh, that had a lens in it. Okay. It's a padded case. We should be okay. All right. So, again, using the triangle, I could do it the right way, you know, set up to the load and squat down, arms straight, back straight, and do that and pick that up. And that's the least amount of risk involved, okay? Or I can just support my weight on my knee and bend over, and again do the rowing kind of motion where I'm picking it up toward my body like that, and then I straighten up and the load is in close and I walk away with it.
What if you just went like this?
A friend of mine one time, she could pick up a tennis ball with her feet.
Oh, that's not feet.
That's monkey feet. But some things you can pick up with your feet, you know. That's not that bad. This isn't heavy, so it's not a big deal. Just be careful. I don't know how you would pick that up straight this way with your feet and have it be any easier
Fly it up.
than just bending over and picking it up. So you could do it that, but I'm just saying be careful. All right? I'm not going to tell you don't pick stuff up with your feet, because people have been doing it for thousands of years, picking stuff up with their feet. All right, another one is called a golfer's pick. If I have something on the floor and I want to bend over and pick it up, what you want to do is you want to support your weight on your leg. Watch me drop my cell phone out of my pocket. And you bend over, and your other leg comes up as a counterbalance. Okay? And pick up whatever the object is. Some people do it like this. That's a little bit less stable and less support, because you're not supporting your torso weight. When you bend over just like this, who can guess how many pounds of pressure you put on your discs just from your torso weight doing a pike bend at the waist like that? Twice that.
Oh. 2,000.
It's about 2,000 pounds of pressure on your discs. Okay? Now, if you add a weight to that, then it multiplies it like times 10.
See?
Not the 2,000 times 10, but the weight plus it just raises the factor by a lot. If you add a twist in there, now you're just asking for trouble. Now, the problem is we've all lifted poorly so many times and not been injured. Why is that a problem?
Because we have to get one time in Israel there.
What?
What? Okay.
This is like stereo. Okay, I think you're both saying the same thing, that you happen to do it one time and you think that it's just okay. It's positive reinforcement through a negative behavior is what it is.